Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an adjustable attachment point for your Packraft's seat and backrest using scrap fabric and ladder locks. First, from a scrap of floor fabric, cut a strip 2 centimeters wide and 13 centimeters long, or about 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/4 inches. Set that aside and cut a scrap of tube fabric about 8 by 12 centimeters, or 3 by 5 inches. And then cut a 20 millimeter long slot in it, centered about 30 millimeters or 1.25 inches from one of the ends. Then we want to do the same thing on a scrap of floor fabric. Might be a little bit stronger if you do it on the bias at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to do another 20 millimeter 13/16 slot. Like that. Good. You want it something like this. It's about 38 millimeters by 24. I'm just going to eyeball it actually. Cut it oversized to begin with and then work your way closer if you want. And I could have chosen a bigger scrap to begin with, but these corners don't really matter. I'll start by lining up those 2 slots. This doesn't have to look pretty, because it's going to be invisible basically on the finished Packraft. It looks like I had some TPU on my iron, but not a problem. And I want to stack these 2 smaller ladder locks. These ones are the 20 millimeter 3/4 inch ladder locks. I want to stack them one on top of the other like that, with the curves going in the same direction and the little tabs pointing in the same direction. And then the strip is going to go through the slot that is farthest away from the little tab on both of them. And you'll want a square of the bottom one. So see how these are curved like that? This convex side is going to be the top of our attachment point. It's going to sit like this so that the seat will attach to the bottom one and pull out that way. And the backrest will attach to the top one and it'll pull upwards like that. So this is the bottom, the one that's sticking out here, and you want it to protrude beyond the end of the top of the strap, maybe a little more. And the way this is going to go together, these both will slide through here. We don't want this to be pulled too tight. We want it to lie flat on the table, because that'll be the floor of the Packraft, and these need to be able to move freely, so bring that out far enough so that that's not going to be an issue. And then get these tails lined up. If you want, you could mark a spot about 20 millimeters on the bottom tail, but you can just eyeball it. But you want to make sure that there's at least some of each tail that's going to be welded to this surface here. And then make sure that it's more or less aligned straight with the length of this piece. You don't want it at a weird angle. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, more or less straight. And then double check to make sure that these are oriented correctly, with the convex side facing up and the tabs facing, that's going to be forward. And then we can just go ahead and weld this together. And I'm going to get another scrap of fabric, just about the size of the bottom of my iron. So that's 30 millimeters by about 65. Clean up the corners a little bit if you want. But this is not going to be visible anywhere. And if you drape this over the edge of a block, you can get it to lie flat. Set that like that. Again, this doesn't have to look pretty. It's not going to be visible anywhere. You're just adding a little bit of extra reinforcement. I didn't get it centered very well. I could have made it a bit wider here, but that's good enough. The strap from the seat can come back. This has to be a 20 millimeter wide or 3/4 inch wide strap. You'll feed the strap through from below with the shiny side facing up. That side seems to hold better. You'll feed it through the rear slot. From below, feed it up and then back. And then you can tighten by pulling on this end, and then the seat will pull this way. And you can move the seat back by taking this in. It makes it a bit easier to feed the strap through if you cut the end at an angle. The backrest will be attached from above like that, feeding it in the same way, and pulling it through to adjust the position of the backrest. And then if you want to remove either one, you just push the tab back and pull, and it'll slide out. Push the tab back, pull on the seat, and it will slide out. So now that this is cooled, that you can fit it in between the reinforcing strips and the rear center seam strip at the rear of your Packraft's cockpit. If these are the reinforcing strips on the floor of your Packraft, place this there, and you want this to be as close to the rear corner as possible while still having a good amount of fabric attached to the floor. And so just find that spot and then mark the fabric where you need to cut it. You could round off these corners if you want. Trim it to the right shape. Double check to make sure that it fits correctly, and carefully iron it to the floor. Remember to put parchment paper beneath the floor of the Packraft so that if you iron in one place too long, it doesn't stick to whatever's underneath the Packraft. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.